Happy Thursday, July 31st, 2025. It's the 212th day of the year, and we've got some big-time weather patterns unfolding across the United States, so let's dive right into that. Okay, starting off here looking at the Mid-Atlantic, where we've got an urgent and dangerous situation developing today along the I-95 corridor. We're talking about a moderate risk, that's a 3 out of 4, for excessive rainfall and significant life-threatening flash flooding out here in the red zone. The main threat area is going to be aimed at the densely populated urban corridor from Washington, D.C. through Baltimore up to Philadelphia, impacting millions of people this evening during their evening commute. The timing is pretty critical here, okay? The threat ramps up this afternoon with the heaviest and most dangerous rainfall expected between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. this evening. So we're going to see those afternoon showers and thunderstorms pop up. Some of them could even be severe. We're going to see those really lay into the gas pedal there between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. And then things are going to kind of die off once the sun starts going down. We've got a slow-moving front tapping into what we call a tropical air mass with highly anomalous moisture content. We've talked about this a million times this year. We're going to have a way wetter than normal atmosphere available for these storms, and it's going to cause some daggone gully washers. The potential impacts here are going to be severe. We're talking about rainfall rates up to 3 inches per hour, and even this conservative QPF forecast here paints a large area getting 2 to 4 inches of rain, but some of these places are going to get 4, 5 inches of rain in a very short period of time today. There's even a couple of places where I wouldn't be surprised if we got 6 inches of rain. Now, what I'm most concerned about is the impact on urban areas like Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. Whenever you get 6 inches of rain really fast, especially in a concrete jungle where there's not a lot of ground for the water to soak into, and also because we're already pretty saturated out here, we are going to see life-threatening flash flooding after these gully washers once again. Some rivers and creeks that we really need to be watching in this region include but are not limited to the Raritan River in New Jersey, the Brandywine Creek in Wilmington, and urban streams like Rock Creek in Washington, D.C. And we can't forget about Jones Falls in Baltimore. These are all places that are notorious for flash flooding, especially in events like this, and I would not be surprised if all of those shot out of their banks today during some of these big-time thunderstorms. This is a potentially deadly situation. Make sure you have a way to get alerts and get ready to seek higher ground if those flash flood warnings or flash flood emergencies are issued. And once again, it's not just the rain that we're talking about. We also have a slight risk of severe weather today. The main thing's going to be damaging winds on top of the heavy rain. So that's going to lead to another significant threat that we have to watch out for. Once again, in the I-95 corridor, we're going to have lots of convective available potential energy out there for these storms. Look at this, 3,700 joules per kilogram of CAPE. That's out the wazoo. This is definitely going to be enough energy in the atmosphere for these storms to become severe, and they're also so wet that we're going to have what we call wet downbursts, big pockets of rain that just fall to the ground and produce 60 to 70 mile per hour winds as they fan out on the surface. So get ready for this really unstable system to cause a lot of problems with flooding and damaging winds. And the timing for the severe weather directly overlaps the timing for flooding, so pretty much the same time frame there, 3 to 8 p.m. Probably the later, the more likely it is we're going to have flooding because it takes a while for the water to add up. But yeah, this evening, get ready for lots of flash flooding up here in the I-95 corridor. And while the East Coast braces for floods, a completely different severe weather story is unfolding in the central high plains, where cities like Denver are in a slight risk of severe storms today. The primary threats here are going to be large damaging hail and strong wind gusts, mainly impacting the I-25 corridor. Here's a look at what the radar could look like today, and we're going to see a classic high plains setup. Storms are going to fire over the Rocky Mountains this afternoon due to the terrain, and they're going to move out over into the plains, posing the biggest threat late this afternoon into the evening. And you might be wondering, like, why do we have this pattern so much in the summer, Ryan? Like, we always have these storms popping up over the Rockies and then like doing damage and stuff over here in the plains. Like, what in the world causes that? Well, here's your nerdy science word of the day: orographic. Okay, we've got some orographic lift going on out there. Now, you might be thinking, what in Sam's heck is orographic lift? Well, it's when you've got moist air that approaches a mountain or some larger area of high terrain. The air is forced upward into cooler air, and it's forced to cool and condensate, and then it precipitates. Now, in our situation today, obviously, we've got winds kind of driving the storms away from the mountaintops, or else it would just be, precipitating right there on top of the mountain. But that's what causes our storms to happen over in the plains after our orographic lift takes place. Now, after all this talk about rain, of course, we've got quite the opposite situation going on the West Coast. We've got a stark and dangerous contrast to the east here with a critical fire weather area issued by the Storm Prediction Center, where we are going to have explosive conditions for new wildfires spreading today. The threat is due to a dangerous trifecta, okay? We've got sustained winds over 20 miles per hour. This is just going to be happening all day today. On top of that, we're going to have relative humidity levels below 15%. We're going to have dew points down close to zero. It's just going to be very dry, windy, and hot, and that is just a recipe for disaster out here in the Southwest. We've got red flag warnings in place across big portions of the Great Basin, including central and southern Utah. The most dangerous conditions are going to be for several hours this afternoon, so make sure you are prepared for that. And we're about to dive much deeper into that, but first, let's shout out today's awesome sponsor. Trade Coffee don't just need your coffee, love it. Y'all know that summer brings about those brutal early mornings and late nights here at the Weather House as we gear up for hurricane season. Our team's been burning cash with the expensive cold brew runs. I'm talking about $6, $7, sometimes $8 for a daggone cup of coffee. It was honestly getting a little bit ridiculous watching everybody make these coffee runs before work, but now the entire crew is absolutely hooked on Trade's cold brew system, and we're saving some serious cash. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S. for cold brew drinkers and hot coffee lovers alike. They've teamed up with 15 expert coffee roasters to source the best beans specifically designed for cold brew. And the best part about this stuff is how simple it is. You just scoop it into a pitcher, let it chill overnight, and bada bing, bada boom, you're coffee'd up, baby. We're still loving that Thunder Lips stuff that we was talking about in the last ad that I did. I think this is a Weather House favorite, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. For a limited time, Trade Coffee is giving 50% off for a whole month of cold brew. That's around 60 cups of cold brew for 50% off. This is a limited time offer. Go to drinktrade.com/y'all, and that's how you're going to be able to get 50% off. There's a link at the top of the description. Go get fueled up, y'all. Trade Coffee is awesome. We love it. And let's get back into the video. Now, in another dramatic shift, let's go from talking about dryness to wetness again. We've got an excessive rainfall outlook tomorrow for portions of North Carolina and South Carolina, because all that rain that we're talking about today isn't just going to disappear. It's going to get suppressed a little bit farther to the south tomorrow, and could impact places like Charlotte, Wilmington, Columbia. So yeah, more flooding's on the way. And this instance of flooding tomorrow is going to be even more incredibly moisture packed than today's. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up seeing some sort of upgrade from the WPC tomorrow for another moderate risk. So look at these precipitable water values, how much moisture is available in the air for these storms. We're approaching 2.75 inches in some of these places across South Carolina and North Carolina. That is just about the maximum that you could possibly get this time of year. So we are just, once again, absolutely going to get gully washed out here. Some deluges are going to happen, and flash flooding is going to be a big time problem, life-threatening flash flooding. So make sure you are ready for that if you live in North Carolina or South Carolina tomorrow. This is going to be another afternoon and evening event as the heat of the day helps fuel storms along and ahead of a slow-moving cold front. So after the Mid-Atlantic gets hit today, the Carolinas need to be on high alert for Friday. It's a textbook example of how a major weather system evolves and shifts, and its impacts remain similar down the line. So we're going to have severe thunderstorms tomorrow as well. It's not just the heavy rain that we are concerned about down here. Now let's talk a little bit more about the future, specifically with the 6 to 10 day outlook. We are tracking a dangerous and prolonged heat wave that's set to build across the Southwest next week, with the Climate Prediction Center issuing a moderate risk for extreme heat across the region. The bullseye is going to be across the Sonoran Desert, including Phoenix, but we're also going to talk about a scorcher in the plains, plumb up into the upper Midwest as well. We're going to have another one of those really strong ridges of high pressure building up in the west, and this is going to lead to temperatures exceeding 115 degrees in Phoenix. Overnight lows are going to be dangerously warm, struggling to drop below 95 degrees. The worst of this heat is going to happen between August 7th and August 9th, where temperatures are going to be consistently above 110 degrees. So make sure y'all are ready for that. It's going to be rough out there in the desert Southwest, but I'm also seeing a pretty big signal for areas as far as up into Nebraska and Kansas to get in on some of this oppressive heat. But I'm also seeing a signal for areas as far north as into Nebraska and Kansas to get in on this oppressive heat as well. What's truly alarming to me here is just going to be the duration. All right, this is a multi-day, probably a multi-week situation for a lot of our friends over here. So it's not going to calm down anytime soon. It's not going to cool off anytime soon. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. And that goes for everybody. All right, our 8 to 14 day outlook still above average for pretty much everyone. Okay, even the Northeast. We're going to have a couple different moments where we're going to try to cool off a little bit, including this cold front that's coming through today and tomorrow. But the overall average temperature in the Northeast and the Great Lakes and the Mid-Atlantic is going to be above average through the next 2 weeks. So the heat's going to continue to lay on. Now, really quick, let's talk about the tropics because we have a ton of activity out there. Well, not in the Atlantic Ocean, but the Pacific Ocean is getting plumb wild out here. We got 2 tropical systems. We've got Tropical Storm Iona. We've got Tropical Storm Gil out here, and then another disturbance that's about to pop up and cause another hurricane here soon. All of this is mostly happening out in the middle of nowhere, not really affecting land at all, but I just wanted to show you how active it is out here and how quiet it is in the Atlantic Ocean. How long is that going to continue? Probably at least for another week. I don't see any sort of big signs for tropical development in the near future in the Atlantic Basin, so that's good news. All right, well, that's pretty much all the weather talk I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out our sponsor. Click that link in the description. We are super happy to have them. Make sure you're going and downloading the WeatherWise app. We've got some pretty exciting stuff going on over there. And of course, 24/7 YALBOT's going to be relaying severe thunderstorm warnings and flash flood warnings as they come out today and tomorrow. If you want information on that, that's a good place to get it. It all comes from official sources and it's free. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.